Welcome to the Hazardous Chemical and Chemical Safety Training. At the completion of this training, you will have a better understanding of handling and using hazardous workplace chemicals. Let's get started. A hazardous substance is defined as any substance, mixture or article classified as hazardous according to the criteria of the Globally Harmonised System or GHS. During transport, hazardous chemicals are also classified according to the Australian Dangerous Goods Code. When working with chemicals in the workplace, extra care should be taken to avoid exposure. Consider all chemicals as potentially hazardous and read the directions for use on the label as well as the SDS before handling. Never mix or decant chemicals into unmarked bottles, as there could be potential hazardous reactions between different chemicals that could result in serious injury. For example, if you mix an acid such as blue laser with an alkaline product such as Clean Kill, not only will the two neutralise each other, losing its disinfectant properties, they will also react violently and produce heat and chlorine gas, which is highly toxic. Always check the physical characteristics of the chemical. Changes in colour, physical state such as liquid or solid, thickness or phase separation may indicate that the product could be contaminated or losing effectiveness. Promptly replace damaged or defaced labels so there are no ambiguities as to what chemicals are stored. And always wear appropriate personal protective equipment as specified in the SDS, such as safety glasses and gloves to prevent accidental chemical exposure. Let's have a look at what's on chemical labels and how to interpret the information on them. Hazardous chemical labels must follow a set of guidelines as set out by Safe Work Australia. The information that appear on these labels must be on the outer face of the container, printed in English, be of a size that is easily legible, and be on a label that's durable and resistant to chemical and environmental wear such as UV. Every label must have the product name, chemical identity of hazardous ingredients, manufacturer details, and hazard-related information such as signal word, hazard statements, pictograms, and precautionary statements. This important information tells the user what kind of hazards the product carries, the preventative measures you need to take to avoid exposure, and subsequent first aid treatment methods if you do happen to come in contact with the chemicals. This example will help you visualise what each element looks like and where to find them on a True Blue product label. The hazardous ingredients will always appear under the product name. It will tell you the ingredient name and the percentage range in the overall mixture. On the right-hand side of the product name panel, you will find all the hazard and safety information. Pictograms will be the most immediate indication that a product is hazardous. Under GHS, there are 9 different pictograms representing different hazards. The text below the pictogram will tell you what hazards are depicted. Over time, you will become very familiar with the most common hazard pictograms, and the meanings of those pictograms will come naturally. The signal word on the label indicates the level of hazard. There are only 2 signal words, warning or danger. Warning indicates a lower level of hazard, while danger indicates a higher level. Hazard statements are short phrases which describes the hazard. Precautionary statements are a set of preventative and first aid instructions to minimise exposure and explain treatment methods for when accidental exposure occurs. Depending on how much space there is on the label, this list may not be comprehensive. You will find the full list of precautionary statements in Section 2 of the Safety Data Sheet. That is why it is very important to read the SDS before handling each chemical. Other information on the label includes a brief product description, the directions on how to use the product in different situations, details of the manufacturer, batch number and expiry date of the product. Safety data sheets, or SDS for short, contain vital information and should be conveniently located for access by all staff at all times. You will find details such as hazardous chemical identity, health and physical hazards, safe handling and storage procedures, emergency procedures, and disposal considerations. The SDS should be the first point of reference when assessing workplace risks. Section 1 contains information on the manufacturer of the chemical and an emergency number in case of personal injury. Section 2 summarises the hazards of the chemical and contains a full list of precautionary statements that may not all appear on the label as mentioned earlier. If you're dealing with a hazardous chemical, always make sure you check this section carefully before handling. Section 3 discloses all the ingredients which make a product hazardous, listed in quantity order from the highest percentage to the lowest. It's important to note that this is not a full composition disclosure, only those that poses a risk to the user when exposure occurs. Section 4 is the first aid section, that is, what to do in the first instance when you come in contact with the chemical. More to come on this topic a bit later. Section 7 gives instructions on how to properly handle and store the chemical. For example, never store acidic products with strong alkalines or strong oxidizers, as these chemicals will react dangerously when in contact. Section 8 provides guidance on how to minimise or even eliminate exposure and lists the recommended personal protective equipment users should wear to avoid chemical contact. Section 9 contains information on the physical properties of the product. Check your products against the specs listed here to get an indication that the product is as described. Section 14 has details on the dangerous goods classification if the product is deemed as DG under the Australian Dangerous Goods Code. Safety data sheets are valid for 5 years. Section 16 tells you when the SDS was last updated and the reason that it was reviewed, for example, if it was a regular update or if any major changes has been made to hazard classifications. Administering immediate and effective first aid reduces the severity of the injury and promote recovery. In some cases, it could even mean the difference between life and death. It is therefore important to know what to do when exposed to hazardous chemicals. As mentioned earlier, Section 4 of the SDS tells you what to do in the event of an accident. Different chemicals have different ways of treatment, but as a general rule of thumb, if you get a chemical into your eyes, always rinse eyes with running water for 15 minutes, remove contact lenses if applicable. If you get chemicals on your skin, remove contaminated clothing and flush skin with running water. If large areas of the body was exposed, use a safety shower and flush whole body for at least 10 minutes. If for whatever reason a chemical has been accidentally swallowed, never try to induce vomiting because it will expose the throat to the chemical twice, doubling the chances of injury. Some chemicals can also then be aspirated after vomiting and cause further damage to the lungs and respiratory tract. Refer to the SDS for specific first aid treatment. If hazardous mists, vapours or dusts are inhaled, immediately remove the victim from the area to fresh air and stay in a position comfortable for breathing. If breathing has stopped, immediately perform CPR until the ambulance arrives. In all cases, when exposed to a hazardous chemical, always apply first aid and seek medical attention to get professional help and advice. The Poisons Information Centre can also be contacted for advice on what to do if a doctor cannot be reached immediately. Many products supplied by True Blue Chemicals are dispensed through automatic dispensing units, which provides many advantages, including controlled dosage so that chemicals don't get overused or underused to achieve the intended result. It also removes the danger of inappropriate dispensing or excessive manual handling, reducing the risk of a chemical accident. It eliminates the need to decant chemicals and ensures compliance to work health and safety rules. Remember the safety rules: never mix chemicals. True Blue Chemicals also provides easy-to-use in-use bottles with clear labels and instructions on how to use at different dilution rates. To summarise today's training, take precautions when handling chemicals. Consider all chemicals as hazardous and follow basic safety rules and first aid procedures. Wear appropriate PPE when handling chemicals. Always read SDS and label prior to using any chemicals. Know where the SDS are kept at your workplace. Handle chemicals in a safe manner and use an automatic dispensing system where possible. Ensure a safe working environment by complying with work health and safety requirements. Thank you for participating in the Hazardous Chemicals and Chemical Safety Training. For further information, please visit our website www.truebluechemicals.com.au. please complete the quiz for this module to confirm your understanding and download a copy of the completion certificate to celebrate your achievement.